Okay, everybody, we're going to start. Welcome, everybody who's joining us today in person and online. So happy to see everybody. Special welcome to Dorit, first time. Great to see you. Thank you for joining us. And today we're saying the shir Le'ilu Nishmas. What's the person's name again? Ira Leib. Ben Beatrice. Ben Beatrice. Okay. Who was recently passed away. Mitzvah Shem, the Neshama should have an aliyah, and we're going to dedicate our learning to his Neshama today. Welcome. So we're in the middle of something deep here, but before we get there, I just wanted to bring something up that came up this week, a beautiful idea that's really important at this time of year and in this time of our current existence, I believe. Very important. And it's just a short thing, but sometimes short little things get in my brain and they mean a lot to me. So I wanted to share this quick idea. This something that Rabbi Nachman says in one of the earlier Torahs, one of Rabbi Nachman's earlier lessons. 1 second. Give me 2 seconds, guys, while everybody's getting seated. There. So I wrote it down here, and I think someone. Yeah, in Likutei Moharan, in lesson Chaf Aleph, in the first section over here. So Rabbi Nachman says, "B'makom shechoshev haseichel, sham kol ha'adam." In the place where a person's thoughts are focused, that is their entire being. Right? And this is an idea that originally came from Rabbi Nachman's great-great-grandfather, the Baal Shem Tov, and that a few of his Talmidim spoke about, but that Rabbi Nachman speaks about. And the idea is something that's very simple. It goes together with another idea from Rabbi Nachman also, and that is very simple and super important. Is that when the place that we choose to focus our minds, the information that we choose to bring in, the time that we spend, how do we spend it? And what are we thinking about? What are we concentrating on? Where is our consciousness? Really defines our existence at that moment. So that means that if we become an addict to the flow of news that comes through every 5 seconds these days, and what is most of the news? It's crazy. What is most of the news? Bad. It's negativity. It's fear. It's this many people were killed, this car accident, this home invasion, this, they don't, I heard that someone made a news channel that's just good news.
It's right.
But you know why I heard about it though, and I don't know what it is, because nobody knows about it. Because it doesn't sell. Nobody's interested. But the flow of news is just pain, suffering, negativity, fear, death. That's what the news is all the time. And nowadays I remember there's like a meme or something, or a little video someone put out talking about Walter Cronkite. So Walter Cronkite was a newscaster, I think when I was a little kid. I think. Yeah, a long time ago. So something 40 years ago. Walter Cronkite. And they say it's like a joke, but they say it will surprise young people to know that there was a guy named Walter Cronkite who used to come on the news once a day and would read the facts of the news, just what's going on, with no opinion, no, and it came once a day. That was it was the evening news. That's it, And nowadays, what do we have? It's non-stop. It's hammering us over and over again all day long if we choose to plug in that way. So what does that mean? That means over and over, all day long, it's death, fear, negativity, pain, suffering. And if that's the place where our thoughts are, that means that is my being. That means my entire life is fear, death, pain, suffering. That's where I'm living, God forbid. We don't want to be like that, right? We can't. Another thing I was thinking about is You see this also in the realm of different things to do with social media, as we're speaking and connecting on social media here. But
Goodness.
what do we see? What happens sometimes is that with things, different types of social media, is like people put forth only like perfect snapshots of their existence, and they're filtered, right? Like, have you seen these filters that like they change someone, like a normal person, and they make them look like they're a movie star? I don't know how to explain these things properly, but as if they had like a $1 million makeup artist in the room every morning when they wake up, and so this is what we see, and kids are always smiling. Oh, look at the dinner that I made, and it's perfect, and whatever. Like, who has time for this all? Right? But what does it show? And then we see it, and then we're like, people get jealous. They're jealous of another person. Jealousy means that I see something that somebody else has, and because I don't have it, I feel sad, I feel lacking, I feel like I'm not complete, right? So if I choose to focus on these things and that's the place where my mind thinks. So where am I living? I'm in a place of unhappiness, lack, and just generally feeling like I'm not who I'm supposed to be. Instead of trying to be myself and take my own things that I have and my own talents and everything and be me, I'm trying to focus on being someone else. That's where my mind is. I feel sad and like I'm missing out. That's how I want to feel the whole day? No, not a chance, right? There's many other sort of examples we could give with this, right? But, Rabbi Nachman says something that's very practical. Once again, these two are very simple ideas. That's the first one. Second one is, he says that that this idea that our mind can only have one thought in it at any given time. And we don't necessarily get to control what comes into our minds. We pass by the news, we see it, okay, good. But we can do, Rabbi Nachman says our mind is like a horse. And just like you have a horse, the horse is running. And what can you do? You can pull it one way, you can pull it the other way, you can lead it in the way we want. We can choose which thoughts to have in our mind. So if we're experiencing a flow of thoughts, which is all in these negative realms that we don't want to be, so the first thing we should remember is, okay, I need to fill my mind with something good. Stop and think about something good. Think about this wonderful table of people here, getting together to study together, right? Think about, think about things that make you happy. Think about good relationships. Think about your children. Think about your parents. Think about whatever it is. Think about a good thing that you saw. Someone did a good chesed. Think about that. Think something happy. So think something good, right? Say maybe some tehillim. Maybe meditate a little bit. Just get your mind out of that spot and focus it on what we want to focus on. So, the line that we have over here, I can pull it up here again, is you are where your thoughts are. Make sure your thoughts are where you want to be. Right? So something that's so powerful, like I said, I think nowadays, just in our general existence, but we're in the month of Elul, where we're trying to work on ourselves, we're trying to become better people, we're trying to have better relationships and to become closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? So let's remember, if we let our minds go down these paths, we're gone. Let's try our best to remember, to stop, and focus our minds on good things in Hashem in this month, God willing. We'll see fruits from this, I hope. What do you think? Short, beautiful, important idea, yeah? Love this idea. Yeah. From the first time I heard this, it always spoke to me very strongly, this idea. Okay, let's get back into Torah Samach Aleph. So we're in Dorit's first time here, so everybody has to know that the Torah of Rabbi Nachman is deep and complicated, and not like the thing we just said. And it follows many steps, and we're kind of halfway in the middle of something right now, and it's going to get a little abstract and interesting today, but we're going to, you have to bear with me a little bit, we're going to pull something out of it that's going to be important and awesome. Okay? So the main thing we're talking about in this Torah is this idea of aligning ourselves with the wisdom of Hashem, basically. And that the wisdom of Hashem is this pillar that supports us and connects us from us down here to Hashem up there, and it comes through all of the from Moshe Rabbeinu, through all of our teachers and sages and rabbis and moras and morez throughout all the generations, right? and every day to us. And it comes through this pathway of emunas chachamim. Emunas chachamim means that I know that I have a rabbi or a teacher who has emunah in all of this whole body of the transmission of wisdom from Hashem to us. And his rabbi had the same thing, and his rabbi had the same thing, until we got back to Moshe Rabbeinu. And as high as we could possibly go, that's where it all comes down. And everybody in that chain had this powerful emunah in this process. So when we align ourselves with that, we are like downloading tremendous wisdom from Hashem. And if we allow ourselves to be pulled one side or the other, to the physical desires of this world, or to excess, or to materialism that pulls us off and gets us out of this mind frame and pulls us to the right side, we're no longer aligned. Or if we get pulled to the other side through anger and fear and control and these negative character traits, we get pulled to the other side and we're no longer aligned. So we need to have this aspect of emunas chachamim to put our concept of mishpat, which is our decisions, our judgments, that they should be truthful, they should bring light into the world, they should bring about our behavior in a positive way, which we called mishpatei hanhagos yesharos, right? That this is the way that we should be, and that's how we do it. This is just a quick review, by the way, from where we were at, and then we said that. Let me find my spot here. 1 second. Right, and then we said that when we choose to cut ourselves off from that, we become like the character in Nah called Doeg. He was an advisor. He was the head of the Sanhedrin, but he stopped himself up. He was only about him. He didn't connect in line with this Masorah and with Shmuel Hanavi, with the Tzaddik Hador, and so he cut himself off, and he through this he came up with crazy decisions, crazy laws, crazy mishpatim. What did he do? He decided that David HaMelech was not Roy Lakahal. He shouldn't be part of the Jewish people. King David. This is what he decided. He decided that the Kohanim in Noiv, Ir Kohanim, were conspiring with David out to get King Shaul HaMelech, King Saul. And so he decided that we have to go and kill them all. And he went and did the decision and did it himself. He went, bad decisions, to say the least, right? Because he took himself out of this channel. And then we said, and this is what happens when we get ourselves into the situation like we saw historically in Russia, where the government was appointing rabbis to try to make the things go the way they wanted to go. And that Jews took part in this also. And because of that, it created all these problems. It severed that connection and gave power to that whole system, which, together with the whole movement of enlightenment and all these things together, created a gigantic level of assimilation. And after that, Rabbi Nachman said, what's going to happen? He said in 1807, before it happened, that Jews will be kicked out of their lands that they've lived for a long time. Because when Jews live in a place and they live in this alignment and they do good things, the places where they live develop an aspect of the Kedushas Eretz Yisrael. We make the places we live, if we live in them in a good way, and we bring light into those places, and we become parts of that channel, we actually are able to transform the places we live into having a certain aspect of the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael. Not completely, don't worry, but a certain aspect of it, right? Something. We do that from the Mikdash Ma'at that we build in our shuls, in our schools, in our houses, in our homes, right? We create this. And when we sever this, we get kicked out of those places, right? And this is what we see happened over there. And so there's more, but we have to be tremendously careful with this whole thing. But the main thing is that we are downloading the deepest wisdom from Hashem through this channel. And with that, we're going to start on Gimel now, which in here is on page, let's see, here is on page 220 at the bottom. And this is going to get into something wild that is going to be hard to understand, but please stick with me, and we're going to, Imrit Hashem, explain it in a good way, God willing. Hashem should help. Baruch atah, Amen. Okay. So it says, through this, if we go down this negative path, and we appoint rabbis who shouldn't be rabbis, and we follow down this path of moiseres, which means going to excesses and physical pleasures that we shouldn't have, and some physical pleasures we should have, obviously. All right, we've got to make Shabbos good with tremendous food and everything, but we take it to a place where we're not supposed to be, into the place of excess. When we do that, and we get all mishkababbled because of this, right? What do we find ourselves? We find ourselves in a descent of wisdom. So from this, it's what's going to happen is the wisdom of the movement of the constellations in the sky will be taken from us. Leda kol hishtanus v'asidos habayin ayedei galgali harakia v'nimsar lehem. What does that mean? It means to know all the changes and the futures of the way the calendar works that come through, and things that happen in the world that come through all of the different spheres of the heavens will be taken from us and given over to them, this wisdom. Because in the beginning, this wisdom was given over only to us. So the pasuk says in Devarim that it is your wisdom and your understanding in the eyes of the nations. And Chazal darshan this to say in the Gemara Shabbos, what is this wisdom and understanding that is in the eyes of the nations? It's the ability to understand, comprehend the different seasons and constellations. Because there's something about this, that there's a seichel that remains, the secret remains by us, even though we give them the chachma, the wisdom. We give them an aspect of the wisdom. Okay, I know this sounds really, really out there. Just stick with me. Let's hold on for a second. Let's explain something over here. Okay, so first of all, there's something that, this is really interesting. I remember hearing this like many years ago, 25 years ago maybe, this concept, and having it explained in a way that this is not according to the way we understand science, and that's the way they used to think, but now we understand differently. And what is this? This is, so they understood I think probably it's called, it makes sense, like a geocentric version of the cosmos, meaning that kind of Earth is the center, and there's different spheres that rotate in certain ways around, all going around Earth. And so, as we know, we're all taught as little kids. We go to school, we learn about the solar system. The sun is the center. We all go around. The Earth goes around. All the planets go around. Moon goes around us. Okay, and now we know now that if we look into the universe a little farther, we see not only that, there's like billions and billions of galaxies. Never mind stars. Like a tremendously huge amount of these. And we know that our own galaxy, right, the Milky Way, is in rotation, right? So there's all these rotations that are happening upstairs, and they had a system, like in the ancient world, they understood a system in which they saw certain things that move together. So they saw that there's a certain sphere of constellations that's always moving. You know, if you look up at the sky, you can see it happening. But they were smart, and they knew how to understand different seasons and different things, not just Jews, all over the place. So there was a way to look at the universe from this perspective. So I think in our times, I'll be honest, even though we know that we go around the sun, right? But our science nowadays is much more open to different perspectives, to seeing, like I'm thinking about this. This is my own thoughts, by the way. If you think I'm wrong, that's okay. You can argue with me. But with Einstein and relativity, it's a theory that shows us specifically that depending on where you are and what you're observing, it changes even time. It changes kind of the fabric of existence, your different perspective. So it's not so crazy anymore nowadays to look at and say, okay, 1 second. Okay, we get it, that it's not, we go around the sun. However, from a perspective here, we can also see a different rotation that takes place based on our perspective, right? It's pretty crazy. So anyway, this is the way that they understood the whole universe back then, like that. Can I see this for a second? I think in here, by the way, he puts a diagram, if I remember correctly. Yeah, if you go to page 233 in here, you'll see he shows these different types of spheres and what they all mean, and how from the center point of Earth, there's a sphere for the moon, Mercury, Venus, the sun, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and then the constellations. And then above that is the spiritual spheres, right? So when we're saying these things, it's important that, we don't, we understand that they had a certain wisdom, and they saw from a certain perspective. And it's really, even though it's not the way we usually look at things, it's not really, I want to say anyway, it's not really wrong. It's just looking at it from a different type of perspective, which is I never thought that I would come to a place of understanding it in this way. Because when I first heard about this concept of spheres, the Rambam speaks about this also, 25 years ago, I was like, oh yeah, they didn't know what they were talking about. Now we know. Okay, there's some truth to that, but, okay, you hear where I'm coming from, yeah? I don't sound too crazy? Okay. Notice I didn't look up after I asked that question. So right. So there's this thing that we're going to be talking about here, which is called Soid HaIbur. It means the secret, like in English he translates it here as the secret of intercalation, which means nothing to us, of course. Soid HaIbur. Ibur means to be pregnant, or right? Soid HaIbur is the secret of, in a simple way of understanding, the way that we establish and fix the Jewish calendar. So the Jewish calendar goes on a 19-year cycle, and there's all of these different times where a month can be either me'ubar, pregnant, or chaser, or lacking. That means sometimes we add an extra day to a certain month, sometimes we don't. So sometimes there's 2 days of Rosh Chodesh, sometimes there's 1. And it's on this cycle. Certain months can sometimes be yes, sometimes no. There's rules to this. I have no clue. Shana Muberet. You have an extra Adar. You have an extra whole entire month. Because every single year, right, the solar cycle is 365 and a quarter days. And the lunar cycle is 11 days less than that. So every year we lose 11 days because we follow a lunar cycle, right? However, the Torah tells us that, first of all, our months follow the lunar cycle. However, the Torah tells us other places where we see that the years have to follow the seasons. So we know that Pesach has to be Chag HaAviv, and it has to stay in the springtime, right? And Sukkot is called, in one place, Chag HaAsifah, which is referring to harvest, gathering in of the things in the fall time when we harvest. So we follow a lunar calendar, but we also have to follow a solar calendar. So how does it happen? By the Muslims, they follow a strictly lunar calendar. So therefore, you see, their month of Ramadan can be any time in the year. It's always falling back 11 days every year. So it could be, it falls out everywhere. Our calendar is a mix of the two. So there's a tremendous wisdom in how it's worked out in this 19-year cycle that has to go both on the days, and also not only that, certain holidays can only fall on certain days. Like there's rules, certain holidays cannot fall on Shabbos. So the months have to be changed. The whole year has to be changed, and it has to keep catching up and working out. 19 years it takes for the whole cycle. So if you were born at a time when your birthday, well, you were for sure born at a time when your Hebrew and English birthdays were at a certain day, right? So 19 years later, it's going to be the same thing. Your Hebrew and English birthdays will be at the same day that they were when you were born, right? So that's how the cycle follows. So, okay, so in the one sense, this is interesting information, right? That there is this wisdom of setting forth the Jewish calendar. Okay? But that's not the end of the story. Rabbi Nachman said something very interesting over here. He said, Ki yesh b'zeh seichel sheyishar soid etzlenu, af al pi she'moedin lehem hachachma. There is something special over here. There's a certain type of seichel, a certain type of intellect here, that the soid remains by us, even though we make known to them the chachma, the wisdom, let's say, of it. So what's the story over here? What are we talking about here? So I want to read something over here. Now listen to this. So this is from the Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer. It says like this. I'll read it. I brought it up over here. So be'esrim u'shmoina be'elul nivru chamu lavana. This is from Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer. On the 28th of Elul, I mean in creation, like in the first day of creation, the first days of creation, the sun and the moon were created. Manayin shehu minyan shehu shanim v'chadashim v'yamim v'leilos sha'os v'kitzim tekufos u'machzoros v'iburin hayolifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the whole system of months, years and months and nights and days and hours and seasons and all these things were in front of Hashem. V'haya ma'aber es hashana v'achar kach mesaran la'adam harishon b'gan Eden. And so he was ma'aber the shana, he did whatever that means, added a month and added a year. And afterwards, he gave over this understanding to Adam Harishon in Gan Eden. Shenemar, like the pasuk says in Bereshit, Zeh Sefer told us Adam. Menayin olam l'chol todas b'nei Adam. Minyan olam l'chol todas b'nei Adam. The way that we count all of the years and everything of all the generations of people. Adam masar l'chanech v'nichnas b'soid ha'ibur v'ibur ha'shana. Adam passed it over to Chanech, right? And he engaged in this wisdom of the soid ha'ibur. Like the pasuk says, v'yizhalech Chanech es Elokim, v'yizhalech Chanech b'darchei. Fine. And I'm going to read now where he shrinks it down over here, so we don't have to go through the whole thing. Adam masar l'chanech v'chanech masar l'noach. Noach gave it over to Noach. Soid ha'ibur. Noach masar l'Shem. Noach gave it to Shem. Shem masar l'Avraham. Avraham masar l'Yitzchak. Yitzchak masar l'Yaakov. Yaakov masar l'Yosef. V'nichnas b'soid ha'ibur. Kein asidin le'ma'et b'soif galus ha'revius. So too in the future, it's gonna diminish by the end of the fourth galus ad sheyaveh melech HaMashiach, until Mashiach comes. So he says, now the Radal says over here on this, the Ibur Hashana, Yachos. So what are we talking about here? There's like a few calculations that you have to make in order to make sure that the calendar works properly. And this was what was on God's mind in the beginning of creation, that it had to be passed down specifically to only the greatest of the greats. The Gemara, by the way, in Rosh Hashanah tells us that the Soid HaIbur, this whole thing, is only given over to the Gedolei Hador. That's it. Like one or two people in every generation are privy to the Soid HaIbur. This is like just some kind of calculation of calendars. This is the big secret that God gave to Adam Rishon, to Chanech, Noach, Avraham, Yaakov, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Sounds like a mathematical, like you could write nowadays. Someone could write a code that would do this in 2 seconds. Like, this is the big thing. This is it, right? And only why would it be that only the Gedolei Hador, one or two people in every generation, are able to know this Soid HaIbur? What are we talking about here? This is what we're talking about.
No, but what's
right?
in English?
The secret of the secret of impregnation. It's the secret of intercalation.
Okay.
The calendar, yeah. Right? So what's going on over here? What's the story? So it says like this. Listen to this. So the holy Radal, in the name of the Rosh HaKodesh, Shekasav, She'ibur Shana, Yishle Yachas V'dimyon Im Soid HaIbur HaMiti. It has a connection. So this aspect of establishing the calendar properly with extra month or extra days has a connection and a a metaphorical representation of the Soid HaIbur Hamiti, of the true Soid HaIbur, the true secret of Ibur, intercalation. Shehu Sisrei Torah v'Ta'ameha, which really is the secrets of the Torah and its deeper existences and reasons. That means the highest levels of Torah. That means the Kabbalah and beyond. Right? That's what this means. Ki Ibur Hashana ba l'shavos hiluch chama levana u'lechaber inyanim yachad. Because what does this whole calendar system do? It takes the sun and the moon, and it's those things that their calendars don't match, and it finds a way to unite them, to make them one thing, right? So, without reading too much farther inside over here, this is a example, a sort of physical world representation of what the whole system of the Sisrei Torah is, of the secrets of Kabbalah is. The whole Indian of Kabbalah is uniting these aspects of Chama and Levana, of sun and moon, of the top sphere of Keser to the bottom sphere of Malchus. Everybody knows, who learns a little bit of Kabbalah, that the sphere of Malchus is connected to the moon. It's the sphere that's connected to the princess, the lost princess, to the revealed world, and to the cycles of the moon. Right? The Malchus is the moon, and some places we say Chochmah is the sun, which is in a certain way the top of all the spheres. Right? And the whole system of Kabbalah is, how do we go from the infinite oneness of Hashem down to our world over here, where everything is disparate and separate, but then the awesomeness of Kabbalah is that we get a glimpse in understanding how really it's all one. And the whole Indian of Kabbalah is like we like to say, whenever we do something and we're Kabbalistically minded, whenever we do a mitzvah and we're Kabbalistically minded, we say, L'shem Yuchud Kudsha Brichu Shechinte. It's also sun and moon. I'm doing this mitzvah now in order to make a unification. I'm making a unification in Kabbalah means, it means a lot of things, but it means, in essence, every one of those aspects means that I'm experiencing or showing or being involved in something that hints to or shows the oneness of everything. The oneness of everything. That Hashem is everything. Hashem is one. Ein od mevado. Or for people that don't like that kind of language, that the universe is one. Same thing. It means the same thing. Just a little bit different way of thinking it. So what he's saying over here is that, and this is what Rabbi Nachman is saying, is that there's this whole inyan of the calendars, and also, I believe, I could be wrong, I think it might have been the Chinese also had this unification of solar and lunar calendars, and they did it in this way, and this information was given over. Rabbi Nachman is telling us there's the setting forth of the calendar, which is the chokhmah that we can give over, that can be explained, but the soid remains etzleinu. The soid is the Sisrei Torah, is the depth, is the Kabbalah, is the thing that goes higher and higher until it's infinite. Yeah, this is really the soid ha'ibur that we're talking about over here, the secret of ibur that we're talking about over here. And by the way, we explained earlier. This is like another way that it's really awesome. We explained earlier that the whole concept of this Torah is the language that we used about coming up with decisions and judgments in the world is lahoitzi laor. We say it by Rosh Hashanah also. Lahoitzi laor mishpatenu, right? Is to bring out into light our mishpat, whether it's our decision or our judgment. It's in a place of darkness. It's hidden, right? What else is moitzi laor? Is when the baby's in the mommy's tummy for 9 months, it's hidden. It's there. It's in the darkness, and then it's born out into the light of the world. It's yotzi laor. It comes out into light. So this idea of the soid ha'ibur is also connecting back to this aspect of drawing down the hidden wisdom, and through this path and this connection that Rabbi Nachman is giving us, allowing it to be revealed into the world in a way of light. Yeah. So the Soida Ibur of the calendar is just the tip of the iceberg. The real thing is drawing down that wisdom that's hidden and drawing it down in a way that it comes out in light in the world. Right? This is the true Soida Ibur, the real Soida Ibur that we're talking about over here. That even if it's given over in one way, that the real Soid stays by only, and that's why it's also only a few people in every generation are able to understand the secrets of Torah, the Kabbalah, on that type of level. These are the people that, who are always, we call them Balei Meifes. They're able to, they can make miracles happen, sort of. They know things about people. We talked about this before, if someone came to the Arizal, he could look at a person on their forehead and know everything about them already, just from looking at them, right? And it's not the only story. There's a great story about the Ribnitzer Rebbe right here behind me. Beautiful story about someone who met him, and his name was Avram Cohen. He wrote a book about the Ribnitzer, and the story he tells about how he first was introduced to the Ribnitzer. The Ribnitzer was one of these people, by the way, for sure. So the first time he met the Ribnitzer, he was in Eretz Yisrael, and the Ribnitzer had left. I think it was Transylvania, maybe where the city was, where he came from, around there. And he came to Israel before he ended up moving to America. And he was there for a while, and people were coming to see him because he was known to be a big tzaddik. And so one of his friends was telling him, you have to come and meet this tzaddik. It's something very special. And he was like, okay, whatever, maybe. Anyway, he wasn't going to go. The last day, his flight was canceled. And his friend called him and said, I can get you in to see this tzaddik today. So he was like, okay, my flight was canceled, and now this guy's calling me. I better go. So he said, the way he tells the story is that he went into the Ribnitzer, and he sat down, and the Ribnitzer Rebbe began to tell him over his whole life, everything that happened to him, until this point where he met him. And from that moment onward, he became like his very close shamish. The Ribnitzer Rebbe was also a moel, and this person was a doctor and a moel. And he was with him at every milah that he did. He became very close to him and took care of him. But he said, this is something that he can never forget. He told him over everything about him. So I know it sounds wild and amazing, but there's people like this, that when you meet them, they can look at you and know something beyond the system. This is one or two people in a generation. This is not for people like us. But this is the Soida Ibur that we're talking about. And it's for us to remember, in our Torah, it's the revelation of the wisdom of Hashem in this world through this pathway. And when we align ourselves with people like this, like the Ribnitzer Rebbe, we become the next channel for that to be revealed. His is on a higher level, but through us it comes in whatever way we're able to kind of refract that light. Yeah, you with me? There's a whole, so Dorita is saying something very, very interesting. We learned in other Torahs this concept of tzaddik yesod olam, foundation of the world, tzaddik, foundation of the world, really. And we saw in some of the Kabbalistic writings that we brought over there, it says, like she's saying, that the tzaddik stands in the tzinor, that pipeline from Hashem into all of creation. And everything in creation comes through that neshama of tzaddik yesod olam. So these things happen in a way that they have a whole different existence. And then there's another aspect of Ibur that she's talking about, which is in Gilgulim and reincarnations, and souls can be put into certain places at certain times, which is also very interesting. But we see here, this is the real, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Heebie-jeebie stuff of Yiddishkeit. This is the real, interesting, deep spiritual stuff, and it's why you see this tzaddik yesod olam thing. I always like to say about this that there was what was the story? One time I'll remember the story, and then it'll be even better. But where somehow it came to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and he knew something about somebody that was not anywhere near him for a long time, and the thing they said about it was that every neshama that comes into the world comes through this office. So he's whatever you want to say. But these tzaddikim, they have a whole different existence. So this is Soida Ibur. God forbid we should think it's a few spreadsheets and calculations of just how to be ma'aber the shana, how to whatever, fix the year. Okay, let's go weiter. Let's see. Where are we? Yep. Yep. 1 second. Yesh b'zeh seichel. She'yachol lo'hadiya lehem ha'chachma. So there's a seichel involved in this that we can give over to them, like how to make the calendars work. Aval pikein yishar asoyed etzlenu, but the secret remains by us. Zeh b'chinas ki chachmaschem u'binaschem le'einei ha'amim. That's why the pasuk says it's our wisdom and understanding in the eyes of the nations. Le'einei ha'amim daika, specifically in their eyes. Dahainu shi'rak le'einei ha'amim. It's only in their eyes, b'shah shemoidin lehem, at the time that we give it over to them. But teichav acharchach eno yodin klal. But right after that, they don't know it. Rak yodin shehasoyd etzlenu. But they know that the soyd is by us. They know that there's something secret, that there's something deep by us. Because we don't teach them over this wisdom in its essence. She's soyd ha'ibor. That's why it's a secret. It's the soydos. It's the secrets of Torah. But there's a certain type of intellectual understanding that we can show to them. In order so that they should know, they should have like a taste somehow that there's some type of deeper wisdom that's by us. But the main soyd, the secret, remains by us. This is the aspect of this secret that is only given over to the Gedolei Hador, the greatest of the generation. That they have great neshamas, great holy souls, very, very big holy souls. So now it's going to connect back to something that we said earlier in a very wild way. The movement of all of the heavenly bodies happens through sichliim. So I think he translates that as intelligences. Is that what he says? Yeah. Some type of spiritual intelligence. Shehem malachim, which are angels. V'kol galgal v'galgal, yesh lo seichel miyuchad. Every one of these spheres has a certain intelligence. Dahainu malach shemisnaheges al yadai, shemisnaheg al yadai, which means an angel that causes that thing to behave the way it behaves, that sphere of stars. And through this, that's how we have the whole system of the different movements of these spheres and constellations. One of these spheres goes in a certain month and according to a certain seder, a certain path, let's say, a certain way. And then another one takes a whole entire year. There's another one of these spheres that moves around, and it takes many thousands of years to complete its circle. So just think about what we know now that they didn't know. Rabbi Nachman had no clue about the way that there's billions of galaxies out there, and that the Milky Way, which we're part of, is in a constant revolution. Right? They didn't know this back then. And this is exactly what he's saying. There's certain things that are so great out there that are moving that take thousands of years. And so too, that's how they all go. And all these intelligences that cause the movements to happen up there, they all receive from the manhig hakoilal. That means, doesn't mean the head of the study institute. It means the all-encompassing leader, guidance. I don't know exactly how to say it. A manhig is like a leader, is like the one who gives guidance, who right? And hakolah means the general, all-encompassing, the all-encompassing guiding force of the universe. Shehu seichel hakolah, which is called the all-encompassing intelligence. Shea neshama shekula misnagim ayad, which is the neshama. This is talking about a very, very big neshama. V'chinas v'nishmas shakai tavinem, like the pasuk says in Eov, that the soul of shakai, nishmas shakai shin dalad yud, which we say not with a k, but with a right, is the name of one of the names of Hashem. right? So Mishnas Shakai. Are we in this place? No, you're. Mishnas Shakai Tevinim. The soul from the Almighty. That's a good way to say it. From the Almighty, Tevinim gives them understanding, right? Gives them understanding. So, in other words, Nishmas Shakai. It's this aspect of neshama, of God really, a deep aspect of Hashem that gives down all of these tevinim, understandings, which are all of the intellectualities, the intelligences that cause everything to move up in the heavenly systems, right? And then it works itself down until we come to our world over here. By the way, we believe in Judaism, in astrology, just in not from the horoscope in the newspaper, right? But that meaning that the different planets and stars and constellations affect us. They affect everything in the world. And once again, it's another way that we see how when we have a little more science that we didn't have before, you can see it in a much deeper way. Like the aspect of gravity affecting the space-time continuum, and how when something moves through gravity, it moves through space. It warps gravity around it, and that gravity and the whole universe is connected by gravity. So everything that moves in space affects everything else, and we know that in the system, the Gemara says that if someone is born under the sign of Mars, right, that's the red planet, they're going to have some type of drive in themselves to do with blood. So the Gemara says that person should become a sheikhet, because they have a holy thing to do with that thing that they were born with. Why am I saying this? Just so we know that what's going on in the universe affects us. If you remember, Rabbi Nachman says in another place, or Rabbi Nassan says, that this is one of the aspects of tefillah that is a huge chutzpah, is that Hashem, remember this? Hashem makes the whole universe. And every single one of the stars and constellations and everything is defining our existence. And it says that, in certain parts of the world, only certain plants grow in this one place because certain forces make it that way. And anyway, every aspect of our lives, everything in the world is being guided by the entire universe and all of the constellations and all the stars and everything. And we have the chutzpah to go to Hashem and say, Hashem, something's not right. I know you made me that I only have a beat up old Dodge Grand Caravan, but really I should have more money so I could have a Rolls Royce. That's what I'm saying to Hashem, right? And he says, oh, you think you should have more money? Oh, so you mean the whole universe that I created, that made everything exactly the way it's supposed to be, that I set your life up for exactly what you need here? You don't think, you think I got it wrong? You want me to change the whole universe so you can have what you want? That's the chutzpah of our tefillah. But it's a chutzpah in a good way, when we're davening for good things. This is what Hashem wants, right? This is what Hashem wants. But why am I saying all this and getting a little bit tangentified over here? Is because this is the crazy nature of the whole system. And how the manhig hakoilal, which is some aspect of the soul of Shin Daled Yud, is guiding every spiritual force that guides all of the physical aspects of the universe that move in a certain way, that all have an effect down here on us. But once again, it's all going in an alignment and a channel from Hashem to Nishmas Shakai, to the Sichlim, to the Malachim, to the Sichlim, and then it's going to go down into the Chachamim and into the two Gedolei Hador who know Soid HaIbur, and it's going to come down, and when we align ourselves, we're going to be at the bottom of that, able to receive Eitzah, able to have some type of clarity in our lives. That's where we're going over here. Let me find my spot here, sorry. We said that already. Dahainu, Malach Shemazanga. Sorry. Nishmas Shaka, yes, okay. Valkein, Haneshama, Nikres Shamayim, Shu Kvalyos Hagalgalim, Commercial Costs of Vaikra El Shamayim Me'al, Zu Haneshama. So, Nishmas shakai tevinim, shaneshama shefea haseichel behem. Because this great neshama of nishmas, the neshama of shakai, flows forth seichel, the wisdom, to them. Therefore, the neshama is called shamayim. The neshama is called shamayim, shehu klaliyos hagalgalim, which is the all-encompassing nature of all of these spheres. Kamesha Kasser, Vayikra el hashamayim me'al. He called it to the shamayim from above. Zu neshama, meaning me'al, above everything. That's what's called shamayim. That's what the neshama is. HaNeshama. Ki neshama hu amanig hakoilol shal kol galgalim. It's this neshama that guides everything. Valkein, HaNeshama nikres galgalta. Therefore, the neshama is also called by the name galgalta, which means a skull. Al shem galgali harakia shmisnai galyada. Because of the galgale harakia that go by it. We say when we put on tefillin, when we put on the head tefillin, there's a thing that we say, al shem yichud, by the way, that says over there that I put the head tefillin on my rosh, on my head, shahanashama shebamoichi, because the brain is the physical seat of the neshama. So neshama is connected to the head in our system. So galgalta means skull, and galgal also means to turn. It's like a wheel. It's the same thing, because this is how it goes. Therefore, these great neshamas that come into the world, the big tzaddikim, they are experts in the Seder Ibur. Because who can know? In other words, the great neshamas of the tzaddikim are connected to this nishmas shakai, this all-encompassing neshama. They are closer to that soul, to that all-encompassing collective soul. That's why they are able to know this whole Seder Ibur and all of this deep Kabbalah. Okay, are we holding here for a second? We got something? Okay, so now we're going to see something so cool. If anyone's into healthy eating, we can make a connection over here a little bit. Let's see. So these great, tremendous holy neshamas, they have to have also a body. It can't just be a soul. Bechinas pri haaretz, which is an aspect of the body is called the pri haaretz. So why is it called pri haaretz? Because where did our bodies come from? So Adam HaRishon was taken and made from the ground, right? He is, and we are the main progenitors of life in the world, pru urvu, right? To be fruitful, right? Comes from us, and we're made from the ground. We are called, in that sense, pri haaretz. Bechinas avir de Eretz Yisrael, and the land, the aretz, where does a body come from that can house a holy soul? From Holy Land, the holy land of the avir de Eretz Yisrael, right? The atmosphere of Eretz Yisrael. Avir miskadesh bebechinos avir de Eretz Yisrael, because when the avir, the atmosphere, the airspace of a certain area becomes sanctified like the airspace of Eretz Yisrael, azai so what did we say before? When we have our shuls and our houses and our schools and we live in them with holiness, what do? We create a bechina of the avir de Eretz Yisrael. We make the place like the air of Eretz Yisrael. Okay? So when we do that, what happens? Azai. Then when we do that, kol haperes v'tavua hagadel sham shemehem nizoin ha'adam. So then what happens is all of the fruits and the crops that grow in that place where we live, which is where we get our sustenance from. Also, you see, you have to shop local. Umisham ba hatipa zarius, and then that's where also when a person, when you have a husband and wife, and they're eating their food from the land that has become somewhat holy, like Eretz Yisrael, and now that sustenance goes into us, and it's what gives us our vitality, and our vitality is what gives us the two pieces that we need to make to cause pregnancy, right? When those things come together, the zarius, the seed, really, hakol b'chinas Eretz Yisrael, it all has this aspect of the holiness of Eretz Yisrael. Umisham nikram haguf, and from there, from the zera, is going to be where the body begins to form. B'chinas rukamti b'tachtios aretz. Rukamti b'tachtios aretz. How does he translate rukamti here? I've weaved together or something? What does he say?
Rukamti, it's like
I was knit together.
knit together, right? Knit together. And it was knit together from the lowest places of the earth.
Recesses of the land.
Right. Recesses of the land. Oh, that's much better. He gives a good translation. Bechinas Eretz Yisrael, meaning the land is where we come from. Is where the pasuk says in Tehillim. David Melech says this. I was knit together, woven together from the land. Why? Because this is the way everything happens. Bechinas Eretz Yisrael. Vazai haguf bechinas pri haaretz. Then, when such a thing happens, the body is considered the fruit of the land. Vazai roi lakabo neshama gedola. And then it's able to receive a great neshama. In other words, you want to have a holy person born who is going to be a tzaddik, who's going to be able to connect to Hashem on the deepest levels and draw in the deepest wisdom. That soul has to be born into a place of holiness. And how is he born into a place of holiness? When we live in a way that we're living Torah and mitzvahs, and the whole community is like this. And so, the food that this farmer who keeps all the halachas right and is honest in business and does and davens and says and learns Torah and everything, and he makes that and he sells it, and this guy goes to buy it, and they have business dealings that are honest, and everyone's living in a kosher way, and they daven together and they learn together, and they have a whole community that's all based on kedusha. That creates an atmosphere of kedusha, and that food that he bought from him now, that was grown in kedusha, is now going to give energy into those people, and when they procreate, they're making an opportunity of a place of holiness where now a tremendous neshama can grow, a tremendous tzaddik can be put into that place, right? This is what we're saying over here. V'kshaguf because the soul that goes into a person is has to go according to the holiness of the body. Kshaguf zach v'naki, and when the body is pure and clean spiritually, yachol lakabel neshama gedola, v'chein lehefech. He's able now to receive a great neshama, and so too the opposite, not so good. V'kein yesh medinos shesichlam av megusham. Therefore, there are certain countries that their intellect is kind of coarse and material or physical. And then there's other countries where their intellect is very clear and kind of pure. And everything goes according to the country. And it all comes from the food that they eat in that place. Just think for a second. This is something so interesting. Think about it. Just think. I'm not saying to be racist, but think about
China.
Think about all of the different countries, and they have their own food. They have certain types of food. And they have, like for example, I like to cook. So I buy these like special tomatoes from Italy. San Marzano tomatoes that they have to be certified by the government. And they're amazing. They're very different. Those are like Italian tomatoes, right? But in Italy, they are so particular with food. Think Italy and France. They're so particular with their food. And they have their own styles of food and their own types of food. And they have noticeably completely different cultures, completely different outlooks, and completely different things that are important to them, and the way that they, their whole culture and thought process is different. Go to Germany. Think about the food that they have over there. Totally different food, different culture, and different, they have an intellect that's like sharp, and like German engineering, and all these type of things. Look all around the world, you have all these different types of food, different types of cultures, and they produce different types of seichel. It's a real thing. What do we have in Canada? I have no clue. We're a mishmash. We're a mishkababel over here, right?
They do not eat healthy food here.
Therefore, when we get kicked out from these places that we've lived, that became sanctified with the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael, through that we got into all these moisros, or motarot in Hebrew, and all of these excesses, and we got off into going too much to the right and too much to the left, and we lost our connection, and therefore we messed everything up, and we started, appointing rabbis that shouldn't be rabbis, and all these things happened, and we lost the holiness of the place we were. Now, now, in the new places that we find ourselves, we're not ready. We can't produce pure and clean vessels, bodies, to receive these great neshamas. We can't bring that tzaddik into the world. We can't give a place for that tzaddik to be born. And so now we're not going to have the Sod HaIbur. We're not going to have the deepest secrets of Kabbalah and of the infinite nature of Hashem is not going to come down. We're going to be missing those people. Right? 1 second. One more short paragraph. We'll be done. This is what Chazal say. Vaisa Yadi El Hanavim HaChoizim Shav Besoid Ami Lo Yiyu. Pasuk says that my let me see how he gives it over nicely in good words instead of my broken. So my hand will be against the prophets who prophesy vanity. They will not share in the mystery of my people. This is the mystery of intercalation. So, what does that mean? The whole thing. So this is referring to Sod HaIbur, the secret of this whole system. The next part of the pasuk says. So the first one is they will not share in the secret of my people. The second part is Ubiksav Beis Yisrael Lo Yikasevu. They will not be written in the books of Israel, I guess, but that's the Ksav Yad that we talked about. The writing won't happen. V'zeh hasmicha. Ve'al admas b'nei Yisrael lo yavoyu, and they will not come to the land of the children of Israel. All these three things are in this one pasuk is everything that we spoke about earlier in this Torah. Kamashmoy haynu kana b'ksav Yisrael lo yikasevu zeh smicha. They're not going to have this. Remember, smicha and handwriting were connected by yad. The yad was the thing that Moshe Rabbeinu gave to Yoshua to give him smicha, to give him ordination. And the yad is the yad of Keseves also, that is our writings, our dissemination of wisdom. Yeah, so that's what's going to be missing in the Ksav. We're not going to have good rabbis, good ordained rabbis. We're not going to have good writings that are going to go out. When we give smicha to the wrong guys, and it weakens our handwriting, our information proliferation. And they will not come to the land of Yisrael. Because why? Because we're going to be kicked out from these places that we're in that have the Avira D'Eretz Yisrael, the air of space of Israel. And that's why in the secret of my people they will not be. This means the Sod HaIbur, this big secret that we discussed the whole lesson about today. This, through all this process, we get the Sod HaIbur taken away from us. And all of this happens because we got too involved in these extraneous things that we don't need. Moisres, motarot, things that are excess. We got too involved in food and in materialism and in the cars and in the sourdough and in the Facebook and in the you name it, the news, whatever. And we got too involved the other way also. We got too opinionated and angry, and people are going crazy. They're deciding that this is these things that must be, and changing all of our existences, and anger, fear is on the left side, right? Yeah, and control of other people. We got so all into all these things, and these are all things that we shouldn't have. That they're extraneous. We don't need them. They're not supposed to be by us. This is a whole other conversation we're not going to get into. But when we did this, we removed ourselves from the Amura de Emtza Isa, the Derech HaMemutza, the middle path, the middle pillar. And that middle pillar is our channel, is the thing that we plug into to receive all of our wisdom. And like when we see now how our first thoughts about where our mind is at, is connected to everything that we saw in this Torah. I didn't even plan it like that way. It worked out that way, right? That when we let our mind go in all these places, we're just being pulled away from our channel, from the place where we should be plugged into. And when we do that, we lose our connection, and we lose everything. Yeah, we're wasting our lives if we're plugging ourselves into the wrong place. So I know this was an unusually kind of complicated and esoteric part of the lesson. But the main thing to take from it is this idea that we have something that is a soid, that is a secret, that is the deepest of deep, that is the highest levels of understanding, that goes all the way back up to Hashem, the secrets of Torah, which are way up there. And only a few people in each generation are privy to this. And when we align ourselves with them, we're able to tap into what we need from that source. Each one of us on our own level will receive, when we tap in the right way, will receive the advice that we need, the eitzah that we need. We'll receive the wisdom that we need in our individual lives when we keep in that channel. And if not, you know how we feel? I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know, where am I supposed to, what should I be doing with myself? How should I be doing this? Should I keep this relationship? Should I not keep this relationship? Am I on the right path? Maybe I should move to a different city. Why did I not get this thing that I've been wanting for so long? We're confused, we have no answers, we don't know anything. Right? And when we plug in, we have the ability to tap into some truth, to some eitzah, to some advice, some connection, to some wisdom from the true source. So we should all be zeiche to tap in.
How do we receive it? Like, do we receive it spiritually or through the advice of the rabbi? Or like, how do we know if we are in that channel? How do we...
So first of all, we have to finish this lesson and see where it takes us, which will take us a little while. But yeah, when we plug in this way, we're gonna receive it from here. We're gonna receive it from here, and it's gonna be clear to us. We're gonna receive it from rabbis. Yes, we're gonna receive it. Sorry, Barbara. We're gonna see in the next Torah that we're learning in the worldwide group that we learn with. One of the things that Rabbi Nachman says over here is something awesome. Is he says that one of the ways that we draw wisdom into us is by speaking. V'daber im chaverim b'yiras shamayim, is when we speak to our friends in aspects of yiras shamayim, means sphere of heaven. But meaning what? Meaning when we have meaningful conversation with our friends. When we talk about Torah, we talk about life, we talk about meaningful, important things. There's a trick over there. They say, we'll talk about it another time. But what happens over there is that allows us to be receivers of wisdom. So not only just directly from our rabbis and our teachers, which we all have to have, right? I have plenty of them also, right? But also, it's something that we're going to be able to download if we're in that place.
Also, wisdom from the
No, I mean, this is one way. This is one way that it's going to happen, or two ways that it's going to happen. But it's like, in the end, the thing that we're doing over here is really putting ourselves in that alignment, and that place. And then we're also able to. We're part of that channel. We're part of that pillar.
So we can just directly
pillar that links.
contact with
Listen.
another human being, feel
Well,
something.
that's part of it also though. These things together are all part of the whole system. Meaning, like, you have to have this. If you're really plugging in this way, and you're not a person of moisres, so when you're together with your friends, that's your conversation. Is going to be good things. Why? Because you're really plugged in, and you're going to be talking about deep good things. Or what are you going to do? You're going to be, you know what it's like when you're with conversations with people who are not plugged in, and it's all nastiness. It's lashon hara, narishkeit, all of these things that are useless stuff, and sometimes mean, terrible things. Right? In that situation, you're cut off. You're not receiving any wisdom. Yeah? So it's part of the whole thing. When we put ourselves into that place, if we're in alignment, we're going to be part of the, remember the Amunah Dem Sissa also is a Kabbalistic term for the central pillar, referring specifically to the concept of Tiferes in Kabbalah. But that central pillar that goes from Keser to sometimes Das, to Tiferes and Yesod and Malchus, it's like the pillar where everything goes down. It's also the pillar of this, like Dorit was saying, of the place of the tzaddik, that it's drawn down. And if the pillar is the connector. So when we put ourselves into this place, we're part of that pillar. We're part of that connection. And we're going to feel it. It's not going to be all at once and perfect. But the more that we grow and the more that we become plugged in this way, we're going to be more of an antenna for wisdom.